You are listening to The Vent, a safe place for all of us. You are listening to The Vent, a safe place for all of us. Welcome back, everybody. This is Andrew Kuna, your host, back with another episode of just ranting about random stuff. You know, one of the hardest parts about doing a weekly podcast is figuring out what topics to talk about. And no, the irony is not lost on me that I'm bringing this complaint up when I'm only in my third episode. So, I'm 23 years old. I finished graduate school several months ago, focusing on broadcasting, because that's the field that I really want to go into. If I didn't want to go into broadcasting, I wouldn't have started this podcast. So, now what? No, I mean that really, now what? I mean, once you finish high school, the system either expects you to get a job right away or go to college. And that's a real pain in the butt, and I'll get to why in a little bit. But more importantly, once I finished high school was garbage for me anyway, and I'll get to why another time. Once I finished high school, I went to college, and thank God that I actually picked a good college. My high school experience was pretty much hell. Okay, it was pretty much hell, for a multitude of reasons. The first, and probably the biggest reason that high school was hell for me, was the people. The people in the high school I went to were absolute garbage. From most of the teachers, keyword most, there were some that I do like and still like to this day, to the students. And the students were probably the worst of all of it. I swear, every time I went to high school, every time I went to school, I went into a class, it felt like I was walking into a freaking circus. The students, left and right. Where do I even start with this? They were rowdy, they were obnoxious, they constantly talked during class, so the teacher had to constantly stop him or herself every 1 or 2 minutes just to tell the students to shut the hell up. And because of that, the lessons really suffered. Hell, the students were so obnoxious and disrespectful that half the time we didn't even finish the lessons that the teacher had planned for us. No, we had to postpone them until the next class, which pushed the schedule back a way back, and it was just mayhem. It was absolute chaos. I hated almost every single minute of high school. So on top of all of the social issues that I personally have that I talked about in last week's episode, just imagine what it's like to be in high school with those social issues before you've even realized that you have those issues. It's just a lethal combination. A lethal, toxic combination. I didn't have that many friends in high school, and the ones that I had, I lost by the end of it, and by that point, I just didn't give a crap. I wasn't really involved in many extracurricular activities because I just didn't care. I was so disheveled and broken by this school, by high school, that I just didn't care to participate in extracurricular activities. If I don't like high school, why the hell am I going to stay after classes to stay in high school even more? Probably the two best experiences that I had in high school, and this isn't really saying much to be fair, is one, every year I recall that I got to participate in this group where we would help construct and then ride the homecoming floats for that year. I remember that kind of being fun. Kind of. I mean, it wasn't anything spectacular, but it was a nice experience. It was a nice little out from the regular rigors of hell that I call high school. And the other experience is band class. Yes, while I was in school, and for practically most of my life, I played a musical instrument. At first it was the trumpet, now it's the guitar, although it's a lot more casual. But yes, in school, especially high school, I played the trumpet. and I was pretty good at it, if I do say so myself. Of course, that was years ago, and I haven't touched my trumpet since high school. In fact, I'm not even sure I still have it, but while I was there, I played it, and it was fun. Ish. But yes, just like every other class in high school, the same problems persisted. The kids were rowdy and obnoxious as all freaking hell. The teacher had to stop the lesson to tell everyone to shut the F up. It was madness. It was one of the few escapes I had, and even that was ruined by obnoxious kids. What the hell is it about high school that turns teenagers into rowdy, obnoxious, disrespectful kids who don't care about authority? I mean, I hate high school. I despise high school. I was glad when I got the hell out of there, but even I knew that I had to be respectful of my teachers and my peers. And I was. I made damn sure that I was. In high school, I was a good student. I was a damn good student. Not just academically, but behavior-wise, too. I did not have a blemish on my record. At least, a self-made blemish. But even that's a story that I don't want to bring up. It's way too sensitive and way too far gone to even bring up anymore. It's no longer worth it. Yes, I know this is a safe place for all of us, but even I have my limits. But I will say this. After that moment, I'll call it, everything really went downhill. I hated high school before then, but after that, I despised it. I wanted to spit on the ground of the school. It was disgusting. It's a repulsive place. Hell, when I finally graduated, I didn't even shake the principal's hand. I hated everything that much. And to this day, I'm actually proud that I didn't shake his hand, because that man is despicable, and he's obnoxious and pretentious and so full of himself. Actually, so many people there are. I haven't kept track of my fellow high school peers since I graduated, and I have no intention of doing so. I have no interest. One thing I learned about school in total is school is not meant to test your intelligence. It's meant to test your memory. Because while you're there, you don't learn anything. They just drill you with facts and notes, all to prepare you for the standardized tests and the final exams that you're going to have to take in order to pass the classes. That's really all they're good for. You don't learn. You don't really have any freedom. You don't get to pick the subjects you want to take. You barely even get any electives in high school. When I went to college, there was a ton of choices for electives. Now, granted, even in college, you still had to wait a while before you could choose them, but you got to pick what subject you wanted to study. See, for me, I wanted to study broadcasting, so I picked mass communication. There are certain classes tailored for mass communications. Those are the ones that you get to pick. Those are the kinds of classes that you get to pick. And in my senior year, I also got to take classes in writing, film, math, all of these other things that I also wanted to learn about. I wanted to learn about filmmaking. I wanted to learn about the inner workings of the creative process. I wanted to learn about writing. I have a real passion for writing. That's one of the great things I discovered in college. I have a real passion for writing. I'm not saying I'm good at it. I probably suck really hard, but I love to do it. In fact, I took a filmmaking class in my freshman year in college, and that's when it really started to spur. And then when I finally got to my senior year, I got to take a writing class, a screenwriting class. And honest to God, of all the classes that I've taken in college, the screenwriting class was my favorite. And while I really got to shine before then, that was the moment when I really decided, oh my God, I love college. Or at least specifically, I love my college. I went to Five Towns College in Dix Hills, New York. Now, if I'm talking to someone, I will personally say, yes, I recommend checking out college. If you're really passionate about a subject, or a career you want to have, I would really recommend it because you get to meet some really great people. See, unlike high school, when I hated most of my professors or teachers, I really loved so many of the professors that I had in college. In fact, I can only think of one or two that I definitively did not like. And even then, they were still way better than any of the teachers I had in high school. I learned a lot more about myself when I was in college than when I was in high school. So much, in fact, that I really don't know where to start. So I'm going to take a few minutes to think about it, gather my thoughts, then I'll come back and I'll talk about it a little bit more. This is The Vent, a safe place for all of us. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. So I talked about a little bit about how I've learned a lot more about myself in college than I ever did in high school, and yeah, that's the truth. I've really grown as a person as a result of my experience in college. First, let me talk about the college I went to. Five Towns College in Dix Hills, New York. Amazing. It is absolutely an amazing college. First of all, it's a very small college. It's a small building, so it's not really as chaotic as other colleges. But more importantly, the people there. The people there are just incredible. Just incredible. Some of the nicest classmates and some of the nicest professors that I've ever had the pleasure of interacting with. As opposed to something like Suffolk County Community College, which I was also considering, which is very big. It's a ridiculous campus space where I'd have to run across campus just to get to classes, and it would just be a nightmare. Meanwhile, this college is such a small building that it's so easy to navigate classes. Oh, and not only that, but they also have what they call a downbeat cafe. It's this little separate building that's to the south side of the entrance, and it's basically just like a hangout. There's a gaming system. I'm not even kidding. There's a gaming system set up in this place. There's a bar that doesn't actually cook food. It's just for show because I've never seen anyone actually cook food there. There are tables. There are sofas. There are two computers there for people who can't get into the computer lab. It's just great. I used to go there all the time when I was in between classes, and even after I was done with classes, because it's just a nice, relaxing place to hang out with. Definitely helps take the stress off of it. And there wasn't a lot of stress to begin with, so that's a bigger plus. Also, you ever notice that in high school there was this obnoxious bell that would ring whenever it was time to get out of class or time to get into class? It was always the most obnoxious thing in the world. It was so loud, it was so blaring. It wasn't even an actual bell, it was more like a siren. It was more like a freaking siren, and it would always drive me mad. College doesn't have that. At least the college that I went to. They didn't have any bells. You just got up and you went to class, and you were expected to get there on your own time, on time. But actually, that brings me to another point. That's one of the things that I really respected about college. It basically put you in charge of your academics, on your life, on your responsibility. You are responsible for getting your stuff done, for keeping yourself accountable. And while it's nice that there are professors there that want to help you and will keep you in check if you need help, here with college, it's more like they're a guide. They want to help you. They want to help give you that extra push. With high school, I rarely, if ever, felt that way. So first of all, back to the stupid damn bell thing. High school teachers were always so damn obnoxious about waiting until the bell to end class, and even then, they would hold over the class sometimes if one or two kids were being obnoxious little twerps, or just because. So as a result, you had even less time to get to your next class, and then the next teacher would punish you for being late, even if it wasn't really your fault at all. In college, it's like, well, there's 20 minutes left in the class, but I have nothing left to teach you, so goodbye. I'm not even kidding. It was that way, and I actually admired it for that. Because I got let out of class early quite a lot in college. But again, it ties back into that personal responsibility thing. They left it up to you to keep track of yourself, to get to class on time. Another thing that I really liked about it, things in college seemed more easygoing. What do I mean by that? Well, in high school, you were watched like hawks. I remember there always used to be teachers, and even the principal would hound students to get to class, even if they were at their locker getting their damn books. It was literally one of the most obnoxious experiences I've ever seen. It was just horrible. Freaking horrible. Oh, and they would also hound you once all the classes were done and it was time to go home. They would hound you to get out of the halls and onto a bus, or go to the person that was picking you up, or go to an extracurricular activity. Like, there was never any time to breathe. And they would have nasty attitudes about it, too. Oh my gosh, these are just some despicable people. In college, you see a professor walking by and you're walking by, they're just like, sup. And I'm like, oh my god. They're just like that. I mean, occasionally there would be one or two that would get on students' cases, but that was very rare. And it wasn't like the professors didn't care. They did. But it was just that they trusted us enough to put the responsibility of getting our stuff together in our hands. They didn't hold our hand or spank us with a ruler, if you will, for stepping out of line. It was entirely on us. And I can understand people not liking that because it gives off the aura of they don't care. So I get that, but that was never the vibe I got from this place. These people did care. They just felt, well, they're adults. They can handle themselves. They'll either get their stuff together, they'll either get the job done, or they won't. And I really respected the school for that. And here's another little secret that I'm going to let you in on that very few people know. Colleges, or at least the college that I went to, didn't really care too much in that it wouldn't make such a big deal out of it if you skipped class every once in a while. And I mean every once in a while. If they started to pile up, yeah, they're going to get on your case, and yeah, your grades are going to suffer. But like, there was a time in my freshman year when I had a professor that I really didn't like, and I really didn't like going to the class. So very occasionally, I would skip that class and just not go, and I would never really hear about it. Because it was occasional, and because my grades were already so good that it didn't really affect it. And no, this is not me encouraging you to skip class. I'm not saying, yeah, you should totally skip class and you'll skate through. I'm not saying that at all. Just that if you find the right college that allows you to be more independent and personally responsible, you can make the decision on your own whether it's a good idea or not. It's all about personal accountability. And unlike high school, colleges, at least the one I went to, are more willing to be lenient with that. With high school, it literally felt like a prison. And it was hell. There's this really uncomfortable and not entirely unearned stigma where you need to know what you want to do with your life, the rest of your life, by the time you get to high school or college. The stigma is not entirely unearned because the system is so screwed up that if it comes to that you decide that you don't want to pursue the career you want anymore and want to change it, you're kind of screwed. Personally, I believe that stigma is utter bull, and I don't support it in any way whatsoever. I wanted to be multiple things growing up. I wanted to be an animator, I wanted to be a newscaster, I wanted to be a broadcaster, I wanted to be a writer, and I keep constantly circling through these things, especially recently. The best thing about college is that I found what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into broadcasting. Or, if that didn't work, I wanted to take up writing, like show or movie writing. The best thing about college is you have more freedom to take different classes, especially depending on your major, and it gets especially good once you get to electives. I got to take a writing class in my senior year, a screenwriting class, and I learned a lot of good things about the process of screenwriting and writing in general. And I used this class to help hone my writing skills. In fact, at one point, my peak passion for writing was so high that I actually sat down and came up with a movie concept. I'm not even kidding. An actual movie concept. Well, quick little story. It started off as a sitcom premise. Basically, it was just your average sitcom, except the humor was Family Guy-esque. And looking back, it's not really that good. And then I kind of kept tinkering with the idea, and eventually I landed on what I want my magnum opus to be. It's a movie script. I'm not going to give too much away here because things change, and if God forbid I ever make it big, I don't want to look on this and see how stupid I am, or I don't want someone to take my idea. But basically, it's a movie. It's a Christmas movie. And the basic premise is, what if the adults in the world believed in Santa Claus, but the children didn't? And I kid you not, I actually wrote a full movie script on this idea. I've taken up a lot of script writing programs, and I finally found the one that works and lets me do my thing, and I wrote the entire thing there. I'm not even kidding. Like, I don't want to share too many details, although I am struggling to come up with an ending. I really need to go back and fix that ending. But that is where my passion for writing led me. To write a movie script. I sincerely doubt that anything will ever actually come of it, but it was so much fun to write, and I had such a blast developing the idea, and I'm always constantly thinking of new things that I could possibly end, because when it comes to writing, don't ever think you could just do one draft and you're done. No. You have to constantly go back and fix it, write new drafts, come up with new ideas. You constantly have to keep doing. Because the second you become complacent in anything is the day that you fail. And we don't want any failure. We don't support failure here. Oh yeah, and really quick, I also had a radio show in college. Yeah, that was one of the cool things about college. They had a radio station, and not just like a mock or a fake radio station, an actual legitimate up-and-running station. WFTU Riverhead, if you're curious. Use the TuneIn app. Yeah, I got a radio show. I had a radio show every single semester I was there. That's 8 semesters over 4 years. I did a sports talk show. And it was really fun. It helped me hone my on-air skills, which were pretty weak at the time, but I'd like to think that they've at least gotten better since then. And it was an especially good start for when I went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. By the way, if you are really passionate about something, like super addictive passionate about it, I definitely recommend checking out the possibility of finding a school, a graduate school, that focuses specifically on what you want. If you want to go into broadcasting, find a school that teaches broadcasting. If you want to go into writing, find a school that teaches writing and only writing. You want to be an artist? Same thing. It really does help. I was lucky enough that there was a school nearby that taught exclusively broadcasting, the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. And as soon as I graduated college, I signed up and I got in literally that summer. It was a quick, advanced course, very fast, but it really, really helped. The professors there were fantastic, actual people that work in the industry. I learned all sorts of great things. How to do on-air work for newscasting, radio work, news updates, weather, traffic, you name it. I got to work behind the scenes, learn how to operate a camera, learn how to operate equipment that makes the on-air magic happen. It was a really wonderful experience, and I am so glad that I got it. And I am so glad that I took it up. I'm probably not as confident in my skills as I am today if I don't go to that school. So if you're really passionate about something, go after more education to help you hone and perfect your skills. It's really worth it. The only thing that I regret is that I never thought to somehow tape or record any of my shows until literally my last semester, and even then I never really got myself organized enough to do it consistently, so Yeah, big regrets there. But that's what this podcast is for. I feel like I'm making up for some lost time there. And that's just about going to do it for us here on The Vent. Thank you, everyone, for joining me once again. Just a reminder, I have a Twitter account at Acuna Andrew. You are more than welcome to hit me up there if you have a question or you want to send a comment. Anything like that, I would really appreciate it.